There are various ways to find and use a legal encyclopedia on Westlaw. Today I will show you how to find that legal encyclopedia, and when you've done so, how to navigate that resource to find sections relevant to your research scenario. The first step then is to actually find a legal encyclopedia. And we can do that in three ways: by knowing the name of the encyclopedia, by knowing the jurisdiction of your research issue, or by browsing through the content types. If you know the name of the resource you are looking for, go ahead and just start typing it into the search box on the homepage. For instance, to find Corpus Juris Secundum, a national legal encyclopedia, just start typing it in. Even abbreviations will work. If you aren't quite sure which encyclopedia is best for you, but you know what you're looking for, a specific state's primary law, most states have jurisdiction-specific materials. For instance, each state has their own section of secondary sources, and Ohio has a state-specific encyclopedia called Ohio Jurisprudence 3D. Once you click on that, you can then look through the index, drill down into the table of contents, or run a search in that specific resource. If you want to search through multiple encyclopedias at once, you can find them through content types. We know a legal encyclopedia is a secondary source, so we can head right to secondary sources and find the category for jurisprudence and encyclopedias. Now I can see all the legal encyclopedias that Westlaw has, and if I want to, I can filter by jurisdiction or topic, or I can run a search across all of these legal encyclopedias. Now that we know how to find an encyclopedia, you might be wondering, what do I do when I get there? Let me show you 3 different examples using the same research issue. Let's say our research issue is do prescription drug manufacturers have a duty to warn? Since I haven't been given a specific jurisdiction and I know nothing on this topic, an encyclopedia would be a great place to start. I'm going to start with a national encyclopedia to get the lay of the land across the U.S. Let's use Corpus Juris Secundum. To find a specific section of an encyclopedia, you have 3 options. Drill down through the table of contents, search topically through the index, or run a search. Let's take a look at each of these. Let's start with the table of contents. A table of contents is just what it sounds like. It gives you an outline view of what is contained in a resource. It could be a good snapshot of the organization and the topics covered. For our research scenario, I'm pulling up the keywords drug, manufacturer, and warning. Scrolling through the table of contents, I see a section for drugs and narcotics. This looks like a good place to start. Then I notice a section under drugs and narcotics for manufacturers. We're on the right track. By clicking the plus buttons, I can see what is underneath each topic and drill down even further until I get here to section 124 on warnings generally. This looks appropriate, and it lets me know the other sections that I might want to go and look at. Clicking on the section takes me there where I can get background knowledge and have links to footnotes that lead to the primary law. I can get back to the table of contents by clicking here. Now let's try using the index. Similar to the table of contents, you can search for a section topically. By going to D for drug, I see a few options, including drugs and narcotics. By clicking on drugs and narcotics, now I can see all the subtopics of this section. A Control F for manufacturers shows quite a few topics. And under the subtopic of manufacturers, I find warnings. You'll see that I can also run a search at this point, and it will only search through the index topics. And last, you can run a search within the encyclopedia. This can be helpful if you're not sure where your research issue would fall in the topics of the table of contents or index. For our research scenario, I did a basic search of drug within 10 words of manufacturer within 10 words of warning, using a root expander to catch all variations of those words. From this search, I can quickly see that there is a section of CJS for drugs, that many of these sections give guidance on warnings for manufacturers. I can also see there is a section for product liability, which I might also want to check. And there you have it, 3 ways to find relevant information within an encyclopedia. Drill down through the table of contents, search topically within the index, or run a search. Now let's check out what happens in Lexis. It should come as no surprise that Lexis and Westlaw have varied resources. While there is some overlap, you may not find a resource in Lexis that you could find in Westlaw and vice versa. For instance, Lexis is the official publisher of Minnesota's legal encyclopedia, Donnell's Minnesota Digest. You won't find this in Westlaw, but like in Westlaw, if you know the name of a resource, you can just start typing it in, and if it's available, click on the suggested title. Or you can get there through state-specific materials under secondary sources. Once you've found a legal encyclopedia, searching through it will be familiar to you. For instance, in Donnell's, you can drill down through the table of contents or run a search. Notice here you can limit your search to only the table of contents topics. Let's use the same research scenario as before. Do prescription drug manufacturers have a duty to warn? I can see from the table of contents that Donnell's is organized alphabetically by topic. To find the topic of a drug, I need to find the volume containing the word drug. Ah, here we are. Expanding that topic shows me section 17-5, and that's on drug dispensers and manufacturers. And from here, I can keep drilling down on the topic to find a relevant section. Within the section is a description of the topic and footnotes to relevant primary law in Minnesota. If I'm not finding what I'm looking for in the table of contents, I can always run a search. Here, I will do the same search as before. Drug within 10 words of manufacturer within 10 words of warning using the root expander. Here again, I see that there is a section on drugs, but also a section on products liability, both of which may be relevant to our situation. So now you know that in order to use a legal encyclopedia on Westlaw and Lexis, you first need to find one by name, by jurisdiction, or by content type. And then you need to navigate that resource by using the table of contents, the index, or running a search. Sometimes you need to do multiple of those. Now please open Westlaw and Lexis and let's do some practice.